angels, it's Haley Reese, and today's video is one that I've been wanting to share with you guys for a very, very long time. But since New Year's Eve is tomorrow, and this has to do with something that happened to me on New Year's Eve, many years ago, I thought, why not share this story today? When I was about 15 or 16 years old, I was actually roofied at a New Year's Eve party, and there were a lot of ways that I could have prevented this, and there were a lot of things that I had done wrong as well, although I'm not going to solely blame myself because you shouldn't go around roofing people. But I just can't believe that I had done something so stupid and in result nearly had something absolutely awful and horrible happen to me. So I'm going to share this story today in hopes that I can kind of share what happened to me and hopefully prevent anything like this happening to any of you guys, because what happened could have ended much, much worse than it did. So that is the story I'm going to share with you guys today. Before we get into this story though, I just want to let you guys know that this is not the new background. I just added a couple things in because when I watched back my other video, I was like, oh, it looks like I'm in the middle of Antarctica. Like, it's so plain and like nothing to it. So I didn't even really spice it up, but I added in a candle and a little angel, and my crystal is back there, and I'm just like, I'm feeling good about it, but I can't wait for the new background. So this isn't the new background, but I just wanted to make it a little more lifelike. So this happened, like I said, back when I was 15 or 16, and I've had the same boyfriend for 6 years. So I was in a relationship at the time, but my boyfriend couldn't come to this party because he was in a completely other province working on New Year's Eve. He had a performance. So I was alone on New Year's Eve, and I was gonna celebrate it with one of my best friends in the whole world in high school. She was like my sister. We did basically everything together, and we lived like 2 streets away from each other. So we were walking distance to each other's houses. Now, quick disclaimer, I am by no means condoning underage drinking. I am also by no means condoning going to parties where there's underage drinking. Obviously, drink responsibly, drink if you're of age, but I'm also not gonna disregard that the reality is people underage drink. And the reality is my friends had every intention to underage drink. Now back then, I was a complete goody two-shoes. It had a lot to do with my anxiety. I was afraid to do anything wrong. I was afraid to drink or party. I had never been drunk at 16 years old. Like, I was a very well-behaved teenager. And my friends respected that. But my best friend had somebody who was going to be getting them alcohol. So she asked me if I wanted anything to drink. And I said that I wanted a 4-pack of coolers, because these coolers were like 5%, and I knew that if I milked them for the whole night, there was no way that I was gonna be getting drunk. And my mom knew that I was going to be getting these coolers, and so she was like, hold on, if you're gonna get these coolers, Haley, I'm gonna give you coolers to bring to the party. You're gonna make sure you have a ride home, and you're gonna make sure that you are safe. Because the last thing that she wanted was me to purchase some alcohol from some random person and something be wrong with it. So she went to the store, she bought me like 4% coolers, and there was 4 of them. And I had every intention of getting to the party at 6 and milking these coolers from 6 until like whenever it was time for us to leave and go home. So the party was gonna be at my best friend's boyfriend's house. So basically my best friend had another girl best friend who had a boyfriend who was having this New Year's Eve party. And it was supposed to be really small. His parents were upstairs, it was in the basement, and there was gonna be like 7 to like 13 or 14 people. It wasn't gonna be like this big, giant party. So my mom knew that the parents were upstairs. My mom had spoken to my best friend's mom, who was gonna drive us home, and everything was all set in place for it to be a safe night. So I have my coolers, and I get in the car, and I'm going to my friends, and we all get ready, and you know, we're in our cute little dresses, and we're really excited. And we get to this girl's boyfriend's house. And when we walk in, there was a group of like boys in the corner, and there were a couple girls, and I knew all the girls, but there were a couple of boys that I didn't know because they were her boyfriend's friends. And I remember I heard one guy turn to his friend and say, I called dibs on her. And he was talking about me, which I found super rude and appalling. I mean, at the end of the day, you can't call dibs on a human like it's a seat in a car or like it's a last shirt on the shelf. Like, you can't call dibs on a girl. Like, you can't call dibs on a boy. If they like you, they like you. Try to pursue them and see. I had a boyfriend. You couldn't call dibs on me. But he called dibs on me. So I was like, okay, that is so strange. But I just went about my business. And I remember I went for like a good 2 hours without drinking anything, and everyone was drinking. They were playing like beer pong and everything. And the parents, like I said, were upstairs. So at around 2 hours into the party, I decided I was gonna open one of my coolers. So I opened my cooler and I was just like sipping on it. Now, here is where I made my biggest mistake. I had drank half of my cooler when that boy comes up to me, and they had a big giant case of beer. And he says, have you ever tried beer before? Now, I'd never tried beer. I'd never like hardly drank. Like I'd had like a cooler here and there. Like I was not a drinker. I didn't go to parties. Like I was very in my own world. And that comes a lot from social anxiety. So he comes up to me and says, have you ever tried a beer? And I was like, no, I haven't. He's like, do you want a sip? Now this beer was brand new opened. The beer hadn't even had like a little sip out of it. And there was a case of beer sitting right there. So I didn't even think anything of it. Because let me break it down my thought process, okay? There's parents upstairs. There's only like a maximum of like 13 people, 14 people at this party, and everyone like knows each other. So I couldn't understand that somebody would put something in my drink to drug me. Now that's where I'm stupid, because my parents had always taught me right from a young age, Haley, don't ever leave a drink unattended if you're gonna go to a party. Don't ever walk away from your drink. Don't ever trust your drink with somebody. If a drink's been opened and it's handed to you, don't drink it. All of that, like all of that standard safety. But you picture that in like a club or a big giant house party or with people you don't know. You don't picture that in a basement party with like hardly any people in it and parents upstairs like coming down and checking and supervising. You just don't picture that, but the reality is you can't put it past people to do things in any situation, and I learned that the hard way. So I take a sip of this beer, and I didn't really like the taste, and so I was like, oh, cool, like it's beer, and I gave it back. Now, like I said, I had only drank half of my cooler, so there was no way that I should be starting to feel like I was wasted. About shortly after this, the room starts to spin. Like when I say spin, you guys, like beyond anything I've ever experienced with being drunk. But I had never been drunk at this point, so I couldn't like piece those two and two together to say, hey, something's not right. And everything like was starting to get blurry, and I was starting to become very delusional, and I couldn't comprehend my environment anymore. And that same guy who called dibs and that same guy who gave me the sip of the beer comes up to me and he goes, hey, are you feeling okay? And I was like, no, like everything is spinning, like I don't feel right. And he goes, come with me, it's loud in here, because there was music playing. So he walks me up the hallway of this basement, opens the door into like this workout room they had, and closes it behind him. And I sit on the floor because my head is spinning. And I look back, you guys, and he was putting a fan up against like under the doorknob. So if somebody were to try to come in, they wouldn't be able to open the door. Right away, and I thank goodness for my intuition, I had this sinking feeling. I pieced together, hold on. He gave me a beer. Now I feel like loopy and sick, and I was about to pass out. My eyes were like going like this. I couldn't stay awake any longer, but I noticed that he's now like making it so the door is locked. He comes up to me and he starts trying to kiss me. And I'm really groggy, and I'm telling him, I have a boyfriend. I have a boyfriend, I'll be back. So he never kissed me, and he goes, where are you going? I said, I really have to pee, I really have to pee. I'll come back, I promise. He's like, you promise you're gonna come back here? And I said, yeah. So I ran upstairs, and my best friend's friend sees me and goes, Haley, you don't look good. So she brings me upstairs and she tells his parents, Haley's not feeling well. Now, I'm trying to explain to his parents, I only had half a cooler, but that's what every drunk teenager says. I swear I didn't drink, I swear I'm not drunk. So they're like, okay, we're gonna put you in so-and-so's brother's room. You can sleep in there, we'll check on you, like whatever. So they put me safely, thank goodness, into this brother's room, and I fall asleep. I wake up at 12 o'clock to my friends, Haley, Happy New Year, hugging me, whatever. And my friend, my best friend's friend, looks at me and goes, you do not look good, Haley. And I'm like, what? She's like, come with me. I get into the bathroom. I start throwing up uncontrollably. There was no reason that off of half a cooler, I should be so violently sick and so like out of it. And I'm trying to tell everybody that I'm not drunk, and nobody's believing me. And so at this point, I was supposed to sleep at my friend's house with my friend. I'm sorry, that's so confusing, you guys. And so her mom drives me home to my mom, and I get in the door and I can barely stand, and I'm throwing up like non-stop. Luckily, I was comprehensive to throw up in the bathroom, but I was really sick. I'm trying to tell people that I haven't drank as much as I'm saying, but I'm so slurry and I'm so out of it that nobody's really understanding the severity of it. And it was my fault too, because I wasn't communicating it well, and it's New Year's Eve and I look like I'm drunk. I woke up the next morning, you guys, and I felt really good. And I started to explain to my mom like what happened, and she starts to freak out. So she takes me to the doctor, and the doctor like runs some blood work, etc, etc. And we basically came to the conclusion that I had been roofied. Now, the scary thing about this is like I said, was very sheltered in a lot of ways. Not sheltered by my parents, because my parents were so cool. They let me do so many things, but I kind of sheltered myself. I was very, as much as I was social, I was antisocial in the sense that I never went out to these things. I never did these things. You know, I've had the same boyfriend. At that point, I'd had the same boyfriend. And I hadn't, I'm going to say this in a way that I think a lot of people understand, had like that experience with a boy yet. And the fact that it could have happened under the influence of a drug and also without my consent would have been life-changing for me, and I know that, and it would have been something that I would never have forgotten. And I was so lucky that my intuition kicked in and that I made the decision to go upstairs to talk to the adults at the party and to get to a safe place, because luckily I can say nothing happened. And I know this because I remember everything up until the point of the parents putting me in the room. So where did I go wrong? I made the very big mistake of taking an open drink from somebody that I wasn't familiar with. And even if you are familiar with them, depending on your relationship with them, you just shouldn't take a drink that you didn't see them open. I also made the mistake of misjudging my environment and thinking that because I was in this space with parents upstairs and with so few people that I was safe, because I wasn't. And you cannot judge your safety and how you should react to situations based off of the environment that you think you're in. Where I will not blame myself is the fact that I was a victim and somebody chose to, rather than try to get with me the normal way and respectful way and consensually, to put something in my drink and then try to lead me off and lock the door and come on to me. That right there made me a victim, and that right there is something that I am not going to take complete responsibility for, because although I made mistakes in regards to my safety, I shouldn't have had to worry about that. There shouldn't be people doing things like that. It's like your clothes don't mean you say yes. You know, me accepting that drink was in no way me consenting to anything with him. And the point is, if it's happened to you, anything similar to this, and if it even went too far or something bad happened, you're at no fault. You did absolutely nothing wrong, and you cannot blame yourself for the decisions of somebody who clearly lacks respect and clearly is poorly educated. But that is it for my story. That's what happened to me many moons ago on New Year's Eve. And I just want to take a moment to tell you guys, if you're going out on New Year's Eve, no matter where you are going, please be safe. Do not drink and drive. Do not get in the car with somebody who has drank and is going to drive. And do not accept drinks from people that you did not see them open unless you know for a fact that you can trust this person with your everything, because things can happen in the blink of an eye, and what was supposed to be a great night can turn sour very quickly. I hope that tomorrow night is amazing. I hope that you guys ring in the new year with a bang, and I will be seeing you guys in a video tomorrow and a video on New Year's Day. So I'm really excited to close out 2017 with you guys, and I pray that you have a safe and wonderful New Year's Eve tomorrow. And just remember this story anytime you're in a position where things like this could happen, because I love you guys far too much and I would be absolutely devastated if something like this happened to you and it could have been prevented. If you are new to my channel or you are just not yet subscribed, please go ahead and click that subscribe button. I post a ton of videos, so I don't want you to miss when I do upload. And please give this video a big thumbs up. It makes my heart super happy when you guys do that, so please do that. Remember, my loves, do all things with kindness. And until next time, I love you.